Welcome, dear witches, wizards, and curious muggles, to a most peculiar journey into one of the wizarding world's quietest mysteries. Imagine, if you will, a creature both cuddly and cunning, whose very whiskers might have twitched in time with some of the gravest secrets at Hogwarts. Crookshanks, Hermione Granger's famously cantankerous cat, is often brushed off as nothing more than an unusually intelligent feline. But what if Crookshanks wasn't just a pet? What if, hidden behind those bottle-brush whiskers and squashed face, was a magical spy, a silent sentinel, watching events unfold at the heart of the fight against Voldemort? From the moment he appears at the magical menagerie in Diagon Alley, Crookshanks reveals himself to be far more perceptive than any ordinary cat. He immediately mistrusts Peter Pettigrew, disguised as Ron's pet rat, Scabbers, snarling and chasing him with a ferocity that suggests more than mere animal instinct. In a world where animagi like Sirius Black and even Rita Skeeter blend flawlessly into animal forms, the idea of a creature carrying secret knowledge is not just possible, it is practically stitched into the fabric of magical society. Crookshanks' behavior also indicates a keen sensitivity to dark magic and deception. His instant alliance with Sirius Black at a time when Sirius was thought to be a mass murderer raises eyebrows. How could a supposed mere cat discern friend from foe when even the wisest wizards could not? It hints at Crookshanks being more than a passive observer, perhaps a magical creature with ties to wizard-kind's deeper defenses. Is it so unthinkable that Dumbledore, ever the master strategist, might have subtly placed a watchful guardian within reach of Harry and his friends without them ever suspecting? Moreover, Crookshanks' heritage is suggestive. Described by shopkeepers as having part Kneazle ancestry, Crookshanks inherits not only intelligence, but a powerful ability to discern untrustworthy individuals. Kneazles, according to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, are semi-magical creatures, known for precisely this trait. If a Knazer could be trained, or even enlisted naturally, to act as a discreet observer, it would make for a nearly perfect agent in a world where human spies are often untrustworthy and magical concealments frequent. Now imagine Crookshanks lounging beside the Gryffindor fire, ears twitching at conversations about the Marauders map, the Philosopher's Stone, and the Tri-Wizard tournament. Was he simply Hermione's devoted companion, or a hidden instrument placed to keep an eye on the young trio as they tread closer and closer to peril? And if so, who truly sent him? Hermione found him by chance, but in Rowling's world, chance is often another name for fate. Consider the timing of Crookshanks' introduction. His arrival in Hermione's life came just before Sirius Black's fateful return to the wizarding world's spotlight. A creature bred with Kneazle blood could sense the wrongness of Pettigrew's hidden presence long before the Order of the Phoenix. And indeed, before most of Hogwarts had the faintest suspicion. It's telling that Crookshanks trusted Sirius almost immediately, even aiding him by stealing passwords to Gryffindor Tower, a feat requiring not just cunning, but an understanding of magical security that would seem uncanny for an ordinary cat. Beyond simple trust, Crookshanks actively plotted with Sirius to bring Pettigrew to justice. We must wonder, who or what taught him to cooperate so intricately? Kneazles are clever, yes, but organizing elaborate ploys involving magical passwords, human disguises, and baiting an animagus rat is a far cry from hunting mice. It speaks of training, or at least of a mission deeply embedded into Crookshanks' instincts. Perhaps Crookshanks wasn't placed in Hermione's hands by mere accident. Perhaps he was guided to her, knowing that she, sharp-minded and rule-bound, would be the perfect guardian for such an agent, without ever realizing. There is also the curious question of Crookshanks' origin. The magical menagerie shopkeeper mentioned that he had been there for ages, without anyone wanting to buy him. But how could such a unique creature, bearing such intelligence and sensitivity, remain unclaimed for so long? It's possible that Crookshanks was left there deliberately, in plain sight, but hidden among the ordinary. Rowling often weaves crucial players into the background, only revealing their true significance when the time is right. Was Crookshanks a sleeper agent, waiting for the right young witch or wizard to come along and unknowingly carry him into the heart of Hogwarts' greatest struggles? The theory gains even more weight when we observe Crookshanks' continued vigilance throughout Harry's third year and beyond. He remains particularly watchful over Ron and Scabbers, even after the immediate danger appears to pass. A mere housecat would have lost interest. but Crookshanks's persistent unease suggests a deeper understanding of the stakes involved. He wasn't acting on whim or feline curiosity. He was on a mission, one perhaps whispered into being by older, wiser powers who knew that the survival of Harry Potter would rest not just on wands and spells, but on unseen protectors, woven quietly into his daily life. And if Dumbledore, who famously trusted unusual methods of surveillance, from enchanted portraits to house elves, recognized the need for a different kind of safeguard, who better than a part-Kneazle creature, loyal yet unassuming, to watch over the boy who lived and his friends without ever attracting the attention of Voldemort's far-reaching spies? After all, what Death Eater would suspect a cat? If Crookshanks was indeed placed purposefully into Hermione's care, it reveals a much broader strategy at work among those who stood quietly against the Dark Lord's return. Hogwarts was never truly safe during Harry's years there. Dark artifacts lurked behind mirrors, cursed diaries whispered from the shadows, and traitors concealed themselves in plain sight. In such a setting, where traditional defenses could be bypassed and magical protections undone, an unassuming guardian would be a masterstroke. Crookshanks could patrol the common rooms, listen to whispered conversations, and crucially, detect threats that even seasoned auras might overlook. This potential role grows even more fascinating when we consider Dumbledore's known affection for beings often underestimated by others. He valued the loyalty of Fawkes, a phoenix of immense wisdom, and he entrusted secrets to portraits and to the curious creature known as the Sorting Hat. Crookshanks, with his blend of feline intuition and Kneazle acuity, fits snugly into this pattern of overlooked protectors. If Dumbledore, or another secretive ally, such as Arabella Figg, a known squib who utilized cats for surveillance, had any hand in Crookshanks' positioning, it would be a continuation of a grand tradition of subtle, unconventional guardianship. Yet it is not only Crookshanks' behavior that raises eyebrows. His very appearance suggests deeper magic. His squashed face and lion-like mane are classic markers of Kneazle lineage, but also echo the depictions of ancient magical guardians, those creatures tasked with standing watch over hidden knowledge or powerful relics. Could Crookshanks represent a living relic of older magical practices? Beasts bred to serve as silent sentries in times of great upheaval. After all, in times of war, wizarding families have often relied on more than spells for their protection. There is, too, the peculiar matter of Crookshanks' interactions with magical artifacts and enchanted environments. He is never spooked by Hogwarts' shifting staircases, nor deterred by the enchantments that confuse and delay unwelcome guests. Where other animals might balk, Crookshanks moves with certainty, as though he understands the castle's living magic, and perhaps even remembers more ancient forms of protection woven into its very stones. It suggests a familiarity, a purposefulness far beyond a common pet. In a castle where portraits move and ghosts advise, it would be folly to ignore the cat, who seemed to know just a little too much. If we consider that magic leaves traces, echoes that sensitive beings can perceive, it follows that Crookshanks could sense the dark magic clinging to Pettigrew, just as he might have sensed the protective spells bound into Hogwarts itself. He was not reacting at random. He was following a trail, as surely as any seeker hunts the golden snitch across a Quidditch pitch. But unlike a seeker, Crookshanks played a game no one else could see, and one whose stakes were life and death. As we look further, another curious layer reveals itself. Crookshanks' influence subtly reshapes the course of events without ever stepping fully into the spotlight. It is thanks to his alliance with Sirius that Harry, Ron, and Hermione uncover the truth of Peter Pettigrew's betrayal, an event that shatters long-standing assumptions and alters the course of the Second Wizarding War. Without Crookshanks' intervention, Pettigrew might have remained hidden longer, perhaps long enough to tip the balance even further toward Voldemort's favor. It is not hyperbole to suggest that Crookshanks' actions may have saved Harry's life and the future of the wizarding world before the prophecy had even fully come into play. In this light, Crookshanks' presence feels less incidental and more providential. He does not act out of loyalty to a single wizard, but rather in service of a greater good, an almost unseen current within Rowling's world, where beings like the centaurs of the Forbidden Forest and the house elves of the kitchens also work in quiet defiance of dark forces. Crookshanks might be understood as another piece of this ancient resistance, the guardians who are never thanked, rarely noticed, and yet absolutely essential to preserving the fragile balance between light and shadow. Even Hermione, the brilliant and logical Muggle-born witch, never questions the mystery of her companion too deeply. In her mind, Crookshanks is simply special, a fact she accepts without suspicion. And yet Hermione's tendency to question everything else, from the Ministry's decrees to the ethics of housewife treatment, makes her casual acceptance of Crookshanks all the more curious. Was her bond with Crookshanks another example of destiny's invisible hand? Did Crookshanks sense not only Hermione's goodness but her crucial role in the coming battle? After all, magical beings are often drawn to those destined for greatness, as seen with Fawkes' allegiance to Harry. Through this lens, Crookshanks becomes part of a hidden tradition, a legacy of magical creatures choosing sides in the struggles that shape wizarding history. He is not merely an observer, but an active participant in a story that stretches far beyond the halls of Hogwarts. His keen eyes watched not just over Pettigrew and Sirius, but over the hearts and choices of those who would, in time, stand against the darkest magic their world had known since Grindelwald's rise. Moving soundlessly along a path blazed by fate itself. Thus, to see Crookshanks simply as a cat is to miss a deeper truth, much like mistaking a goblin-made sword for a mere weapon, or a battered diary for a harmless schoolbook. In Rowling's richly layered world, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. Every creature, every object, every seemingly minor encounter hums with the possibility of unseen magic, woven into the great tapestry of resistance, hope, and destiny. Crookshanks was no exception. He was a stitch in that tapestry, hidden in plain sight, padding silently beside heroes who never fully realized how closely they were guarded. In the end, Crookshanks stands as a quiet testament to the truth that the wizarding world has always known. True magic often lies not in spectacle or power, but in the unseen acts of loyalty, courage, and foresight that weave the very fabric of history. In a world populated by dragons, dementors, and dark lords, it is easy to overlook the importance of a silent guardian who asks for nothing, demands no glory, and yet changes everything simply by being exactly where he is needed most. If Crookshanks was indeed a magical spy, a guardian placed with purpose and cunning, then he reminds us that not all warriors wear armor or carry wands. Some walk on silent paws, with fur that bristles at lies, and eyes that pierce through the veils of deception. His story, folded into the larger saga of Harry Potter, enriches the tapestry Rowling has so masterfully woven, adding yet another glimmer of wonder to a world already overflowing with hidden marvels and secret heroes. Moreover, Crookshanks' existence calls upon readers and fans alike to re-examine the world Rowling created with more careful eyes. How many other ordinary creatures, individuals, and overlooked corners of the wizarding world have played crucial roles, their stories hidden just out of sight, waiting to be uncovered by those willing to look a little closer? In a universe where a scrap of parchment becomes the marauder's map and an old hat reveals a person's deepest nature, the possibility that a squash-faced cat helped guard the fate of a boy wizard feels not only plausible, it feels inevitable. Perhaps that is the greatest magic of all, the knowledge that heroes come in many forms and that sometimes salvation is found in the least expected places. Crookshanks teaches us that vigilance, loyalty, and quiet bravery are just as potent as spells and swordplay. He reminds us that in the ongoing battle between good and evil, it is often the smallest, most underestimated among us who hold the fate of the world in their paws. So the next time you picture Hermione curled up with Crookshanks in the Gryffindor common room, imagine the flick of his tail not as idle, but as a silent signal the game is still afoot, and the guardians of the light are ever watchful. For even in a world of wands and wonders, sometimes the most powerful magic is the magic of those who remain unseen, unheard, and utterly, indelibly essential.